Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. I want to thank you for taking the time out to join us for this incredibly special day, a celebration of KCTCS President Dr. Jay Box. We want to begin first, though, with a video produced by our own TV department, and yes, sponsored by Diet Mountain Dew. Get the kick without the calories. Cue video.
Put on those sneakers and lace them up tight. Then run. Run fast, as if there is no tomorrow.
WKCTC production there. It gives me a great privilege now to introduce the platform party. As I call your name, please come forward. We will begin first with Gavin Posey. Gavin is a former WKCTC student government president, Noah Murray State, getting ready to graduate here pretty soon, and served on our KCTCS Board of Regents as a student representative. Our PJC Foundation Chair, Ann Gwynn. West Kentucky Community Technical College Chair of our Board of Directors, Larry Kelly. Our Mayor, Brandy Harless. President Emeritus, Dr. Barbara Veazey. Our First Lady, Mrs. Cornelia Reese. The KCTCS First Lady, Mrs. Gail Box. And, wait for it, cue talent, the man of the hour, Dr. Jay Box. Please be seated. I would also like to recognize some special guests in attendance. Sandra Wilson, the Executive Director of the Paducah Area Chamber of Commerce. Susan Guess, representing Murray State University. Jennifer Fraser, also representing Murray State University. Ben Moeller, KCTCS Vice President of Institutional Advancement. Bruce Wilcock, Greater Paducah Economic Development Press, and members from our PJC and WKCTC Board of Directors, if any of you are present as well. We want to recognize all of our special guests. Please give them a round of applause. Excelente. So I am deeply honored that WKCTC is the first of 16 colleges to host and celebrate the accomplishments and legacy of Dr. Jay Box. My wife told me, no puns, no jokes. So you may be tempted to walk in his footsteps, but that would be jaywalking. I digress. Dr. Box was named the second president of KCTCS on November 19, 2014. Prior to that, with his deep history of leadership within KCTCS, he also previously served as the president of Hazard Community Technical College from 2002 to 2007, and in 2009 was chancellor before becoming president of the system. It is challenging to adequately recognize someone's legacy, particularly one with such a deep and varied list of experiences and accomplishments. But on the front end of the program, I want to quickly offer three. One, Dr. Box has been very instrumental through his leadership in lifting KCTCS as a national voice and advocate for community and technical education. KCTCS holds national rankings from Wallet Hub, number 8 in the country as a system, the second highest per capita generating credentials in the country. 3 colleges, including WKCTC, 4-time Aspen recognized institution. President Trump selected him to serve on the American Workforce Policy Advisory Board, serving with many notable experts like Tim Cook from Apple. He's a founding member of the Kentucky Chamber Business Education Roundtable, and certainly his leadership partnerships with over 400 business and industry partners across the Commonwealth, and with CAM, the Kentucky Association of Manufacturers, celebrating what will be coming up this year, our second GoPro Day, meeting and responding to the needs of our business and industry partners. 2, I would submit to you that his legacy will be tied to his diversity commitment. I was very privileged in 2016 to be hired as the first African-American male in the KCTCS system, and since then, 2 of my colleagues, Dr. Alyssa Young at Hopkinsville Community College and Dr. Kofi Akapo at Bluegrass Community Technical College, and including and representing members of his cabinet, KCTCS is very, very diverse. But third, I would argue that perhaps you can argue that his emphasis from access to success of students, and particularly his emphasis on student leadership, creating the Leadership Academy for student representatives across the system, and Gavin was one of the beneficiaries of that experience. So as part of this celebration, we've asked some key individuals to share and celebrate his recognitions and accomplishments. First up will be our Mayor, Brandy Harless. Welcome, our Mayor.
Well, Dr. Box, we have not had the privilege of getting to know each other until today, but I know your reputation precedes yourself, and I've heard great things about you. And I'll say anyone who tells a bunch of students that are graduating to lace up your sneakers and run is my kind of guy. So thank you for that. And you know, as the mayor of a city, I was really sitting here reflecting about the importance of the community and technical college system for city government specifically, because when we think about the list of issues and needs in our community, it's always been nice for me in the last 3 years I've been in office to never have to be that concerned about this college because of the strength of our network and the strength of the system. So thank you for what you did to do that for Kentucky specifically. I also asked Dr. Box earlier what he's going to do with his time since he's going to have so much free time, and he assured me he's coming to Paducah a lot. So I'm going to work on your itineraries for you and get you some good stuff to do. Would you mind coming up with me, though? I have a very special award that only the mayor of the city of Paducah gets to give people, and these are very special awards that we give. Now, you're going to wish that it had a crown associated with it, but you'll have to pretend, okay? All right, but I'm going to read this in all its glory. To all to whom these presents shall come, greeting, know ye that Dr. J. Box is now named a Duke of Paducah. I hereby confirm this honor with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. In testimony whereof, I have caused these letters to be made patent and the seal of the city to be hereunto affixed, done at Paducah the 28th day of February in the year of our Lord 2020. Congratulations, Mr. Duke of Paducah. You're very welcome. I think I should do that to you. We're going to take a photo.
Thank you. Next, we will have the chairman of our board, Larry Kelly, bringing greetings on behalf of the WKCTC Board of Directors.
Thank you, Dr. Reese. It's an honor, ladies and gentlemen, and Dr. Box, to represent our board of directors. I don't think we have any other of our board here this morning, but to welcome you to the campus for what may well be the last time as president of KCTCS, but we know you won't be the last time as Dr. J. Box. So thank you for being here. Dr. Box has dedicated his professional career to our nation's community college system, more than 30 years, both in his native Texas here in Kentucky, and as you heard Dr. Reese say, all across the country in his service on national boards and agencies. He himself began his career in education as a graduate of Howard Community College in Big Spring, Texas, and later served as vice president of McLennan Community College in Waco. Since coming to Kentucky in 2002, he's been dedicated to the advancement of our community and technical college system from Hazard to Paducah and all of our campuses in between. And if you will permit me a pun, since Dr. Reese got to use his, I was not going to do one, but we thank you for enabling us and all of our students to think out of the box. Dr. Box has been in leadership of our system during my entire tenure as board member here at WKCTC since 2009. First, he was vice president of KCTCS, then chancellor, and of course now as president. And you heard Dr. Reese enumerating the various accomplishments that Dr. Box has helped us make as a system, statewide and particularly here at Paducah. The growth of our system during these years has been in large part due to his passionate leadership. I remember the first time I saw that fantastic video that KCTCS presented, and if you all haven't gotten a chance to see it, it was a couple of years ago, but I'm sure it's still available. And I cried because it moved me so. And when I congratulated Dr. Box for the video and told him how that it had moved me to tears, he said, "Larry, I cried too when I first saw it, and I still do every time I see it, and I do too." So that's the passion that we're talking about and that we admire so much and appreciate so much that you brought to our system and to West Kentucky. So thank you very much for your service and for that passion. We wish you the very best as you transition into the next phase of your life and your career. It's been an honor to know you and to work with you. And I understand you're going to be staying in Kentucky, which we're happy about that, but I know you'll be going to Texas from time to time. And keep in mind, of all the community colleges in Kentucky, we're the one that's closest to Texas. So if you would stand just briefly, I have a little presentation. This says, "You belong at West Kentucky." So we're going to give you that
Thank you.
to take home with you. So,
Fantastic. Let's put it on.
all right, great. And we, as Mayor Harless said, we hope you'll be back time and time again.
We will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next up will be the PJC Foundation Chair, Ann Gwynn.
Dr. Box, you have made so many wonderful decisions as head of the KCTCS system, and I will be very brief. For us down in Paducah, probably the most important decision came through the transition between Barbara Veazey and Dr. Reese. And thank you for that. Thank you for your financial governance in hard times with the Kentucky budget being what it is. And I just echo what Brandy and Larry said, that we've got a wonderful lake system down here to come play on, and you're welcome to come down and go from the rivers to the lakes and do all the wonderful things that Brandy's doing in the city to have people getting moving and have a wonderful town to come back to. Welcome back anytime. We appreciate it.
Next up will be Gavin Posey. Gavin, as you recall, is part of a trifecta, brother and sister. Gavin and father, both in school here at the same time at West Kentucky Community Technical College. Gavin Posey.
I met Dr. Box in August of 2017 whenever I made my first trip to Versailles, Kentucky. And there's a handful of things that stick out from that first initial meeting. The first thing is that Versailles is not pronounced Versailles, a mistake that I learned quickly that I did not want to make. Second, I remember how friendly everybody at the KCTCS system office was. And I was particularly thankful for that as a student visiting the office. But what stands out most to me from that initial interaction was how welcoming Dr. Box was to me as a student leader. From our first conversation, I knew the students in the KCTCS system had a president who cared for their well-being and success. I was fortunate to learn from Dr. Box's example in my one-year term as a student regent to the KCTCS board. As I share my experiences with Dr. Box in the next couple of minutes, perhaps you'll remember stories of your own. Dr. Box's actions have shown me to persevere and remain humble as I am an upcoming professional. As a student regent, it was encouraging to learn from Dr. Box's interaction with others. Regardless of the college, regardless of the city, and regardless of the circumstances, I continually saw Dr. Box as both approachable and humble. Something I respect about our interactions was that I never felt Dr. Box was too busy to speak with me. Once, when I was in the area, me and my parents visited the KCTCS system office, kind of on short notice. And if you remember, you all were having a meeting, you and the cabinet, and what made that meeting special was that we took time to share our experiences, and I appreciated that you let everybody meet me and my parents, and you did make time for us. And that's made that memory more special. Students recognize when someone truly cares for their success. When speaking with my friend Montrell, another KCTCS student regent, we both noticed a similar quality of Dr. Box, which we admired. Our discussion revealed that he truly valued our perspectives as students to the board, and I can attest that serving as a regent while still in college is intimidating. Yet we knew Dr. Box was there to support us in this learning process. I was always thrilled to head to Versailles, or one of the 16 community colleges in Kentucky, in part because I knew that we would have time spent together. After our first time sharing a meal together, I made it a point to try and get a seat at your table. One thing I learned that we have in common is that Dr. Box doesn't like carrots, a comment made by Mrs. Box. And, well, Dr. Box, I still don't like carrots either. Although your time with the KCTCS system is coming to an end, I hope you recognize the impact you've made and the multiple roles you've taken on. Kentucky will continue garnering the benefits of your vision for better lives in the years to come. And I will continue cherishing the time that we spent together in the KCTCS system, hoping to represent the leadership style I observed from you. Thank you for making me feel welcome to the board, guiding me throughout the year, and caring for the success of students in the KCTCS system. I wish the best of luck to you and Mrs. Box as you navigate what's next to come, and hope to stay in touch.
Our next presenter needs practically no introduction, but I will. Longstanding colleague, and certainly our President Emeritus, Dr. Barbara Vesey.
Thank you, Anton, Dr. Reese, for allowing me to reflect for a moment. And I want to say a personal note to Dr. Box, but then I also want to describe or say a few words that I think were most important in support of this college and in his leadership that directly impacted our growth as we headed toward our goal of becoming a preeminent community college among the nation. So starting out with this, whenever Dr. Box came to Paducah, I usually always introduced him that we started together, presidents together, and that was in 2002. Dr. Box was coming to Hazard Community College, and I was staying home. But I remember distinctly being in the orientation, just the two of us, with Dr. McCall, the leadership cabinet at KCTCS, And I pretty much knew immediately that Dr. Box got it. He understood things maybe a little bit better than I did. And I've never said that part in the introduction. So I knew at that point that I had someone that I could look to as my colleague for personal advice, professional advice for sure. So I want to thank you personally from the heart for being my professional colleague and personal friend for 18 years, and it's never diminished. Thank you. Dr. Box perhaps made his very first visit to Paducah. It may not have been, but I think it was, in 2007. And I asked Dr. Box, he was president at Hazard, if he would come, if he would share and talk with Paducah leadership, college leadership, about the idea that was bubbling about the college becoming involved in starting an art school in Lowertown. I sought Dr. Box's advice because he had a strong art program at his college in Texas. He had that experience, and then he had the Kentucky School of Craft at Hazard. He came, we had dinner in Lowertown. He met with leadership. He gave counsel of the positives, some of the challenges you might face, but he was a strong advocate for the arts, continues to be, the connection between the arts and economic development. So the Paducah School of Art and Design clearly had Dr. Box's fingerprints on it from the very beginning. And I'll say this, I never gave a presentation to Dr. McCall, then president, that I did not give that same presentation to Dr. Box prior to get his input, get his feedback. It was that important to me to have his support. Dr. Box was also at the heart of online learning, distance learning, from the very beginning of his presidency, from becoming chancellor and then on to president. West Kentucky was heavily involved in online learning at the very beginning stages in Kentucky. But working with Dr. Box, this college was at the forefront in developing coursework, developing programs that spread all across Kentucky and beyond. But what I most appreciate, again, is the integrity and the quality that those online courses held, and we both believed very strongly that they needed to have that component, absolutely, before they went out. So I think no one can talk about Dr. Box without talking about his contribution to online and distance learning in Kentucky. And then workforce development, technical education. As we were building the Emerging Technology Center, that opened in 2010, Dr. Box, again, telling us, giving us some direction and ideas of where we might go to look at the very best models across the nation, to look at the design of our building, the equipment, the talent, the technical education, and what workforce needed to meet the business and meet their demands and their needs. Workforce Solutions, synonymous with Dr. J. Box. So at this time, I want to thank you. No, I have one more thing. One more thing I want to say, and that is, in every component of what we did that I've described, this is what I think perhaps we hold most in common as educators, but as educators with West Kentucky Community Technical College and throughout the system. And that is, if a student comes to us, if they come through this door, and we want them, we want enrollment. But more than that, we want them to succeed, and we want them to leave us with a marketable skill or a degree, but we want them to have changed their lives for the better. you always held that value strongly. So I thank you for all that we served, and I wish you and Gail Godspeed.
So you've heard from our special guest this afternoon with reflections and recognitions of Dr. J. Box. This point on the agenda is very special because when it comes to who knows us best, you go to, in case you're ever wondering, you go to the First Ladies. I will tell you with a high degree of clarity that First Ladies play a very complex role of juggling, supporting, encouraging, being our best critics, from bringing the right tide to how terrible your presentations are, an incredible degree of patience, as it is balancing families. And so with that, I would like to ask our First Lady, Cornelia Reese, to come forward, and Mrs. Box. For a couple of presentations. As mentioned, the incredible work that we do at the art school. What we have before you first, Mrs. Box, is a necklace. This pendant necklace was created for you by Shannon Duffy, Paducah School of Art and Design adjunct jewelry and small metals instructor. It is made of brass, silver, and moonstones. So let's, did she take it out yet? All right. I just want to be sure. I just want to show it. All right, there you go, there you go. Yes. Thank you first. And then second, we want to present you with a special bouquet of flowers from one flower to another. Thank you so much, Mrs. Box, and as noted as well, Mrs. Box is also an educator, did considerable work and tenure with adult education as well. So thank you so much, Mrs. Box, for the role and support that you do with Dr. Box. So that leaves Dr. Box. Please come forward, boss. We have a couple of special presentations here. All right. So we want you to do the reveal. Please don't drop it live on Facebook.
That is beautiful. Dr. J. Box, President KCTCS 2015-2020. And this is made by?
And that was a pretty good segue there, Doc. It's a wood-fired porcelain vessel created for you by adjunct ceramics instructor Ann Beyer, also with our Paducah School of Art and Design. She's right there. Tammy will take that first one. Oh. There's always that moment. Second, Dr. Box, as you know very well, it takes an incredibly gifted team to make things happen. Our own Janet Blythe has captured incredible sequence of your visits and moments connected with West Kentucky Community Technical College. She's way back there somewhere. Oh, way back there. So definitely want you, as you reflect during retirement, to just take the time and capture those poignant moments there as well.
Thank you.
We know that the winters in Kentucky are a little colder than Texas.
Yeah. Except this year.
Except this year. Yeah. So we will. I wish I could say this was Bead by Dr. Beasley, but that wouldn't be correct.
Beautiful.
one more. We know that you're a connoisseur of good barbecue, and certainly we want to be sure that you have some key things from Paducah. So we got a nice mix, barbecue sauces, both here and regionally, patties, etc. And for the Diet Mountain Dew. The critical drink. Right here. So you get that right there as well too, to sip slowly during retirement.
Which I'm going to pour in my little jug and sip on.
That's right. So you can be able to recognize it.
Beautiful.
Thank you, sir. All right. So with that, Dr. Box, I will bring you forward for any comments that you may want to have as we close this out.
Thank you, Dr. Reese. Thank you for all of your kind comments. That was very nice. You know, Paducah is very special to Gail and me. We really enjoy coming here, primarily because of the relationships that I've developed over the years with faculty and staff, administrators, and community members at that support West Kentucky Community and Technical College. It's a great place, and of course you know what a great school it is. You know, it's been 18 years of the best time in my life here in Kentucky. And I appreciated many of the things that Barbara said, because Barbara and I did start together. And I had a red phone in my office, and she had a red phone in her office. And almost on a daily basis, we'd pick it up. And the hotline was very important, because we learned from each other so much about how to be a president. And you know, it's not easy when you're taking over, no matter how many years you've been in leadership, taking over as the president of a college is a new adventure. And Barbara and I had to kind of figure it out. And she is way too humble. I was learning more from her than she was from me, I guarantee you that. You know, I was always jealous that, you know, West Kentucky was continuing to move up in all these Aspen ratings and all that stuff. And Hazard, well, we were having a good time. No, Hazard Community Technical College, I'm very proud of our accomplishments while I was there. For the 5 years I was there, it was a wonderful time. And, you know, I'm very proud of the fact that Hazard at that time was the leader in online education within our system, and that was one of the reasons that Dr. Mike McCall invited me to come to the system office as the vice president over technology solutions, so I could help lead in the development of our next level of online delivery that we called Learn on Demand, and which West Kentucky was the leading institution in developing Learn on Demand programming, and we really appreciate that. And then 2 years later, when I got to become chancellor of the system, there were some initiatives that were very, very important at the time. And probably none more important was in what I worked on in 2009 with the provost from the 8 public universities in Kentucky. And then in the legislative session of 2010, we were able to get the Kentucky Transfer Bill passed, which guaranteed all of our graduates who were transferring to the public universities in Kentucky that they would not lose any of their credits. And the way we were able to convince that this was the right thing to do is because we were able to negotiate with the 8 universities that our faculty would come together with the faculty of the universities to align learning outcomes in each course, so that there would not be any question about the equity of the courses. And that made such a big difference. And then the universities could not deny our graduates of when they transferred into the universities. Now, we've had some hiccups, and one of the things that was created at the CPE was an ombudsman to address any of these concerns when we'd have one of our graduates not get a course accepted. There was an appeals process, and we've been able to manage that. But I was very pleased that in that 2010 time period, we were able to get the transfer bill passed, because transfer for our students who are in the transfer area is critical. Of course, later on as chancellor and now has continued in my 5 years as president, has been much more focus on our workforce, both Workforce Solutions Division and also our career and technical programs across all of our colleges. And it's important that we think about that, because in the first 10 years of our existence within KCTCS, it was all about access. We started with 16 colleges, and then we built a lot of campuses, a lot of buildings, a lot of campuses. To now we have 73 campus locations spread out across the state. We have access point within a 30-minute drive of 95% of the population. We're very proud of that, and all of y'all should be very proud of the fact that we've created access. But in this last decade, we turned our attention to success, completion. Because it's one thing to get students in the door, but it's more important to get them out the door with a marketable skill set that they can get a great job or that they can transfer to a university and be successful. And that kind of brings me back to some of the things I said back in December of 2014 when I kind of presented my vision speech to all of you. And Gavin, I'll go back to you a little bit. What a great guy, right? The success he's had, the start he had here, he and his brother and sister and his dad. Huge success story. Gavin's one of those guys that comes directly out of high school and joined us. But his dad is another typical KCTCS student, right? An adult coming back, which really separates us from the other institutions of higher education in Kentucky and across the country. We're not about just teaching 18-year-olds. We create access for high school students, for the 18-year-old graduate from high school, the adults who have not gotten a GED or high school diploma who need a on-ramp into education, and we provide that. Adults coming back to get a new career, and adults working in the workforce who need to be upskilled at their job. And our Workforce Solutions provides that opportunity. But what's common across all of that group that I'm talking about is that all of these individuals have dreams. They have dreams of a better life. And Larry, you were talking about the video. The video is our Better Lives video that was produced about 1.5 years ago, which was actual interviews of our students and some of our graduates. And it said, what does a better life mean to you? And there's one female graduate adult who repeated the question back to the camera, and she said, "You're asking me, what does a better life mean to me?" And she pauses and she tears up and she says, "What doesn't it mean to me?" Because a better life is what it's all about. And this institution, this college, has provided me that opportunity. Because to have a better life, we have to take the dream and develop it into a reality. And when I took over as president in 2015, I challenged all of you at our colleges to be our students' dream catcher. Be their dream catcher. Help them find that dream and not let it go, but to help them find that pathway and to get on to a successful life. And I think that all of you ought to give yourself a hand, because what you've done is you have helped create better lives for our students. I thank you for your efforts. I know this is thanking me today, but really, I want to thank you, because without what you've done, we would not have the Gavin Posies up here on this stage today. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing all of you in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Box. And as we conclude the first leg of Dr. Box's farewell celebration, let me thank everyone for taking the time. Thank you for sharing your insights, reflections, and memories for a very, very special individual. We salute you and certainly Mrs. Box, as you hopefully now will be able to have some control of your time as you transition into the next chapter of your life. Certainly for me on a personal level, I can't thank you enough for the opportunity to serve this incredible institution and follow in the footsteps of my good colleague, Dr. Barbara Vesey. I remember, it seems like it was yesterday, when you go through this process, by the way, as you know, for presidents, it's a very grueling process, and there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of sweat, and part of it is that one-on-one with Dr. Box, which adds another level of stress, but it's over a lunch, one-on-one. And I remember coming in and I was just stressed, and I reached and got my drink, and he said, "Great choice." And I thought he meant me as an applicant. He was referring to the drink. So I've recovered from that. But certainly, thank you so much, Dr. Box, in all sincerity. And, you know, for all of us, we really want to continue to carry that torch, certainly illuminating the light and the importance, really and truly, of that shift from access to success. And certainly that we want all of our students to have better lives for a better Kentucky. Thank you so much. Safe travels, and God bless. Thank you. Thank you all. We would love to do a group photo right here with the stage, and then anyone else who wants to come up afterwards. Let's assemble right here, Kathy. You direct us. All right.